Somewhere Better by I_am_Ellie on AO3. Episode 76. Chapter 21. Drops of Jupiter. When he woke up, he was entirely still. Even the tears steadily leaking from his aching eyes felt frozen, as if someone with an ice quirk had glanced over at his skin with a layer of frost. His breath rattled its way out of his chest cavity, frigid and fragile, as if the first gusts of autumn air after a long, hot summer. He could hear their voices in his ears, reverberating through his head like the beat of a drum. Bomb, bomb, bomb. He couldn't tell whether his own self-conscious had conjured up the dream, his recent doubts of little self-worth after Hizashi called off their wedding, or whether the dream was a memory long buried. He remembered so little of his parents. It was hard to discern what he seen from the tangles of the fog over occurrences throughout his miserable childhood. Maybe that's not fair. Inko had tried her best to keep me happy, to keep everyone happy. Shota's definition of happy varied wildly from his parents', however, and contrasting interests could breed something sharp, deadly. Shouta had been happy at UA. He was sure of that, at the very least. Hizashi and Nemuri made sure he stayed resembling fed. Even when his fridge was stripped down to the bare bones, they took him to places on adventures he never would have thought of visiting before. Hizashi had been kissed on the Ferris wheel, held his face between his hands, and tilted his head back. And it had been so much feeling at once. But he'd been happy. Getting Izuku had been a different type of happiness. Something dark and bitter as chocolate, oily as ink. His sister had done that. His sister's husband was gone. Izuku had been a mere half-thought to the back of his mind, something semi-formal, and not entirely real, like fleeting vapors of mist in a heavy fog. He'd been there, but he hadn't been there. Izuku'd been starting existing the day his social worker had dropped him off on his doorstep, and had been divisive, horrible, painful, and also new. A new chapter, something light and sweet as marshmallow fluff. To Shouta, happiness was being taken care of, being loved in a way he could only manage, because not a lot of people loved Shouta, and that was just the truth of it. Inko's happiness was away, away, away. Nemuri's was sleek cars, dazzling lights, and occasional nights on the town, and the bottom of a bottle. Hizashi's happiness had been Shota's. Shota's and Izuku. Or at least, that's what he said. If he's leaving me, is he leaving Izuku? Hizashi didn't have any ties to Izuku. Didn't have any legal claim. A biological claim. Izuku was just a kid who had been staying with them for a while. Someone to look after. To love the best they could. To look after and make sure he was healthy, safe, and alive. Shouta didn't exactly have an example for parenting, or even good parenting. But if he had any idea of what a good father would have looked like, it would probably be Hizashi. Most of being a father was just being there, being present. Or at the very least, that's what Shouta had heard. Hizashi, throughout all the bumps in the road, had never faltered, never left, never vanished for days on end without so much as a, like you're doing right now. The thought was a frigid silver knife scraping through his skin, hollowing out his chest. He bent over the side of the couch and reached into the bucket Nemuri had left the previous night. Had he even explained to Izuku where he was going, when he'd be back? Or had he just packed up and gone without a word? Just like his father had long ago. And he was hyperventilating. Maybe a panic attack, probably. That's what the therapist had said they were called. Said they were common with people with autism. And that they were more prone to anxiety. Maybe he was just plain scared. Nemuri! He yelled. All he heard in response was an anguished groan. Nemuri, Kamaya! What? She snapped, shuffling into the room. Her hair was a mess, her eyes heavy-lidded, day-old eyeliner smudged on her face. What could you possibly want this early in the morning? I'm hungover, Shouta Aizawa. I've gone to sleep, and I'm down in my misery. I need to go home. He replied shortly. He carefully folded the blanket he was using the night and placed it on the middle of the couch cushion, picked up his bucket of something, and went to the bathroom to wash out in the tub. Nemuri trailed behind him like a lost runt. But home is so far. I need to see Izuku. Sashi is with Izuku. She reminded him pointlessly, like he hadn't already come to that conclusion. I will ignore him, or I'll ignore him. I'll ignore him. Nemuri sighed, pulling her phone out from her bra. Those damn pants didn't have any pockets, and I forgot to put it on the charger last night. And ordered a driving service. Rinse off real quick and brush your teeth. You smell like vomit and cheap booze. Nemuri grouched, ambling back into her living room, with hunched shoulders and a put-out expression on her face. He stood under the scorching hot spray under his pale skin as it became scorched with red, and his hair hung in heavy sheets in front of his eyes. Despite the pain in his head, it was the first day in a long time that his knee wasn't aching, more than like a lingering relief from the pain medication he'd taken the day before. He wore one of Nemuri's oversized hoodies and a pair of track pants he'd left at her house months ago. The sleeves of the hoodie hung past his fingers, the hem falling down almost mid-thigh. If it was that oversized on Shouta, a 6-foot-tall man, it must have been ginormous on Nemuri. He wondered if she'd even want it back. The fabric was pleasant and cool on his skin. The hoodie kept his bare skin from brushing against everything, like a protective cocoon. Safe. I'll keep it. Each measured step towards the apartment felt permanent, like a march of doom, like he was slowly etching letter after letter into his own gravestone. The walls were crumbling around him, turning into a fine powder, and he wondered, would Izuku be alone? Alone when Shouta came home? Would Hizashi had already left? He saw a little boy, left to his own devices, playing with the long end of a frayed carpet floor. Saw skin pale with hunger, eyes fraught with loneliness. Instead of black hair, the mop of curls on his head was green. If Izuku ever has to go through that, I will never forgive myself, Shouta decided firmly, stopping in front of his apartment door, with a hand posed over the knock. I'll kill myself. Nemuri stood at his right, silent, supportive. Maybe not completely understanding, because Shouta could very rarely pick out on the correct words to explain himself, but still there for him regardless, strong and steady, his rock and hurricane. He turned the knob, and it was locked. The rattle of the handle was far too loud, echoing in the cramped space. Shouta knew whoever was inside probably heard. There was a light pitter-patter feet on the floor. The sound stopped right behind the door. Shouta held his breath, began to dig through his things for his key. Knocked instead. The door slowly cracked open, the chain lock still firmly in place. A single large, vibrant green eye peered through the gape. Izuku, my poor Izuku. The door shut again. There was the sound of the chain lock slowly sliding out of place. The door swung open, and Izuku was there. Tiny little Izuku, small and chubby and soft, and okay, maybe for now. Uncle Sho. There was something wrong. Something wrong with the way he said what he said. It trickled away at his brain, tap, tap, tapping, like an ink bottle spilled over the side of a desk, slowly dripping away onto his brain. Obvious. This should be obvious. Words. Izuku had never called him uncle before. You scared Uncle Hizashi, he finally whispered. His hands were trembling. Every part of him was trembling from the top of his cropped hair to his very ankles, shaking back and forth, like he had been dumped into a pool of icy cold water, like he had been terrified. Scared him real bad. He scared me too. That was my fault. I know, he replied instead. His voice was purposely even, trying his best to keep a grasp on the overwhelming, slippery emotion threatening to spill through his very skin. Where were you? Izuku demanded, eyes wide and glassy. He swiped at them with the sleeve of his shirt, but new ones welled up to take their place. The child whined, rubbing at them again and again until his skin around his eyes were bright red. Why did I leave? He was having a sleepover at my apartment, baby. Nemuri smoothed, gentle hands gripping Izuku's wrists, carefully pulling them away from his face. It was scary without your Uncle Sho here, right? Izuku nodded. His bottom lip was juggling out like a fish-hooked mouth. It's okay, hun. He's back now, right? Izuku wrenched himself away. He stood before Shouta, with his little flesh clenched, jaw set, and nose scrunched up like a snarling dog's. He looked so familiar, so like Inko. Inko when she was righteous, that it stole his breath from Shota's lungs. Are you angry with me? Shouta finally asked, as Izuku continued to fume before him. Yes! I'm really mad! Really mad! I'm sorry. Nuh-uh! Izuku mouthed, sultingly. What? Nuh-uh! Izuku snapped. He slammed a small fist into Shota's hip. You're not sorry! You're never sorry! He punched him again and again, hands a fury of movements, and Shouta clenched his eyes shut and bore it as Izuku shrilled. It didn't hurt, not the blows, not even when Izuku blew back a foot and kicked him in the shin with all his might, but the words. I hate you! I hate you! Izuku cried, and Shouta felt something inside of him break off its chunks. You ruined everything! Nemuri tried to gently separate the child from Shouta. Izuku gripped the front of Shota's hoodie and howled. He howled, cried, and sobbed until his breath was gone. There was a fury of movements from inside the apartment, as if it inhibited, now only just notice, what was going on outside. Hizashi was there, wet hair done up into a bun, and wrapped into a cotton bathrobe, and holding one of Izuku's wooden, child-sized basketball bats. He spoke at a higher pitch than even Izuku. What the hell? He cut himself off abruptly, as Nemuri and Shota's hands flew to their ears. Izuku, too upset to even notice or care. Sho? I hate you. Izuku sobbed again, looking nauseous. You're gonna... Uncle Sashi's he's gonna leave. He's gonna leave you, and it's all your fault. Everything's all your fault. Izuku, baby, no. It's all she could. He grabbed the boy by his shoulders and sank gratefully to his knees on the carpeted floor. It's okay, Sue. It's okay. I'm not leaving you. I'm not leaving you. Shota's mouth tasted like copper. I don't ever want to see him again. Never, ever. He left. From one night, honey. Just one night. It's okay, Izuku. Everyone's okay. Izuku forcefully removed himself from Hisashi's arms, turning around on his heel, and regarding Shouta with a round, blotchy red face. You didn't tell me where you're gonna go, and you went, and I thought you died. You went, you were gone. I'm sorry, Shouta whispered again. His voice was hoarse, like his throat had been soothed away by sandpaper. It felt like the only thing he knew how to say. Regrouped, find the words, one letter at a time. What can I do? Shouta finally asked. His skin was crawling, black flies buzzing just beneath the surface. He was surely rotting from the inside out. What do you want? Izuku sniffled harder, wiped his nose with the back of his hand, and stared hard on the floor as he trembled, shook, cried. Izuku was made out of the thinnest porcelain, dry clay, and brittle bone. He was sculpted from features and bottle glasses, soft, delicate, sharp things that brushed and cut, caused love and caused blood. Things that made him easy to hurt, things that allowed him to hurt others with ease. He was strong, delicate, and the best person Shouta had ever met, even as a child. I love you more than even Hizashi, Shouta thought quietly. His hands gripped at his elbows. He rocked side to side. Tap, 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 tap. I love you more than even Nemuri. More than Takara, ice cream, and chocolate. More than heroes. More than me. More than all of the stars in the sky. I love you. Please don't hate me. Please don't hate me for not knowing how to say it. For hurting you. Tell me how to fix this. Tell me because I don't know what to do. What do you want? I want my mom. Izuku sobbed. And of that, there was no more. I can't end like that. No, we can't fucking end like that. Okay, hi. I took some time. No, I did not. I need some time is what I'm trying to say. What the fuck? 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 I hate that. I hate that. We're gonna, okay, we're gonna break down the psychology. We're gonna break down the psychology. We're gonna break down the psychology. My grandma's calling me. Oh, great. What am I gonna explain to her? That I'm crying over fictional characters? Okay. I'm less emotional now. Clearly, as you could hear. So let's talk about this chapter. First of all, Aizawa is... He wakes up from that horrible dream and realizes the fact that he leaves Izuku, which is really interesting because they both have trauma in the sense of abandonment issues. And Aizawa, it shows in not getting attached, all right? He's been abandoned, he's been left, he expects it to happen. He just expects it. Maybe as a little kid, he used to be like Izuku, right? It seems as though as a little kid, though, he wasn't like Izuku, right? Which is just fine. People grow up differently, whether you have autism or not. Grief and trauma shows up differently in different people, especially because it's different types of grief, different types of circumstances that you got that trauma, different everything. Everything changes, not to mention the different personalities of each person. But obviously, in Izuku, it shows in itself within, obviously, abandonment issues. But it also shows itself as people-pleasing tendencies and not pushing people tendencies, right? Izuku wants to pull people in and make sure they stay in by keeping them happy. Aizawa doesn't let people in, right? He keeps them at an arm's length until they finally break the walls and get, closer to him, like Aizawa and Hizashi. Not Aizawa and Hizashi, like Nemuri and Hizashi. But, I want to talk about Izuku. Izuku's mad. Izuku's upset. Izuku's distraught because, as I mentioned here, he's gonna leave. He's gonna leave you, right? He's gonna leave. I feel like part of him wanted to say us, right? And then he's like, no, he's gonna leave you, and it's all your fault. Everything's all your fault, right? In the sense of like, hey, I'm gonna lose someone I love again, and it's because of you. You're the reason, right? For once, he's not pinning the blame on himself, right? This is his big catalyst, right? When people are people pleasers, right? Sometimes it bunches up together so much to the point where the person explodes. I know I had a moment where I blamed someone else for an action, right? Whether it was their actual fault or not, I blamed them, and I lashed out at them. And I realized later down the road, okay, yeah, they were at fault, but I overreacted. And although I was saying like, oh, you're the one who, did this, and this, I was not only mad because they did this, and this. I was mad at a lot of different people and a lot of different others. And I ended up lashing out on one person for that. Right? Which is what's happening here. Right? It's your fault. Everything's your fault. Right? Izuku's not only talking about Hizashi leaving. Right? Izuku's also talking about his mother dying. His father leaving. Everything that's happened. He's blaming it on this one point. Right? Obviously not literally. It's not Shota's fault. But in this moment, in this heated moment, he's blaming Aizawa. He needs someone to blame. We all need someone to blame. Someone to point a finger at. Someone to say, it's your fault. You're to blame. You did this. You that. Right? We need someone to, point the blame at. Because sometimes we don't want to point the blame inwards. Right? Or in Izuku's stance, there is no one to blame. There's no one to blame. There is no one person who is the catalyst for this all. So he makes a person. Right? The I never want to see him again, never again, he left. That is heartbreak. So when someone who has abandonment issues, when you get abandoned, it hurts so much more worse. It hurts so much more worse, right? And the whole I never want to see you again, he left. Right? It's emphasizing the fact that you did the one thing, the one condition of my love, the one thing that I never wanted, which was to leave, right? As someone who had people-pleasing tendencies, and I would bend backwards for people. There were certain people where I would put in all the effort. I would do all the strain. There's this one friendship specifically where I would put in all the effort, I would put on the strain. It didn't start like that, right? I would do everything. I was holding on to that friendship on straw, like I was grasping at straws to hold on to that friendship. And then the person left. And I felt, at first, I blamed myself. Like, okay, I did something wrong. I'm the one in the wrong. And then I went from that to blaming them, right? And absolutely blaming them for a lot of things that went wrong, right? Blame them for a lot. Now that it's been a good while, it was, obviously more of the heavy hits were from the other person. But I had certain moments where it's like, okay, yeah, that could have been not the catalyst, but that did not help out. That contributed to our dying friendship, right? That contributed, right? So yeah, I love that Hisashi's wording here is, I don't like it, but it's okay, Izu. I'm okay. I'm not leaving you. I'm not leaving you. But he's talking to Izuku. He didn't say, I'm not leaving you guys. You guys. He only said you. Only referring to Izuku. Now, it could just be where he's saying that to Izuku because he's trying to comfort Izuku and not trying to comfort Shouta or anything like that. But judging by the reaction of Shota's mouth tasted like copper. Shouta also took it as, oh, okay, so you are leaving me, but you're not leaving him, right? What's it called? Right, for one night, honey. Just one night. It's okay, Izuku. Everyone's okay. For Izuku, that one night does not matter. It was one night, yeah, sure. But for him, that was all he needed to feel betrayed, to feel hurt, to feel absolutely abandoned. Right? And that's all he needed. Izuku replies with, you didn't tell me where you'd go and where you went, and I thought you died. You went, you were gone. Again, abandonment issues, but I want to specify a certain part in this whole line, this whole dialect that hit me like a ton of bricks. I thought you died. Now, the reasoning why it hit me by a ton of bricks is not the reasoning you're thinking. It's not because, oh no, Izuku thought he died, went through the trauma. Izuku said, you died. Died. This whole fanfic, Izuku has only ever referred to death as batteries running out. Not till this moment, where Izuku finally says, died. He doesn't say, I thought your batteries died. I thought your batteries went out. I thought your batteries were dying. He says, I thought you died. That is so significant, and I can't specify what exactly makes it so much more heart-punching and why exactly he would say you died. Was it a relation, he had a realization there that I'm not pinpointing. I would have to do a whole lot more reading, but I want your guys' opinions on the comments on that stuff, right? I also love Shota's little thing, I love you more than Hizashi, Shouta thought, quietly. His hands gripped his elbows, right? All that. I love you more than Nemuri, more than Takara, ice cream, chocolate, more than heroes, more than me, more than all the stars in the sky. I love you. Please don't hate me. Please don't hate me for not knowing how to say it, for hurting you. Tell me how to fix this. Tell me because I don't know what to do. What do you want? All of that. I relate to it because as someone who sometimes cannot find words are my mortal enemy. I'm a writer. It's hilarious. I'm a writer. And I'm honestly, I'm really capable of, sometimes sitting down and pinpointing my emotions. And someone from the outside might say, oh, well, you're really good at articulating what you're feeling and explaining it to other individuals. No, I'm not. Because what I'm explaining to you does not hit what I feel. It is different. I am telling you one thing, but my feelings is so much more profound, and I do not know how to express that and tell you, right? So I understand Aizawa's thing, and what hit me, what hurt was, I want my mom. Izuku sobbed. And of that, there was no more. I hated that line. And I had a realization. The first part of the fanfic was someone better. Because Aizawa felt as though there was somebody else better suited to take care of Izuku. Anyone else was better suited to take care than Izuku. Aizawa is not a father figure or a parental figure. And somewhere better, Izuku feels that they're somewhere better. Izuku wants to be with his mom. Put the correlations together, and that shit hurts. Anyways, last time this was updated was 2022, October 7th. So yeah, that's quite unfortunate. How unfortunate. Uh-oh, how unfortunate. Sorry. FNAF fan here. I'm sorry. Okay, but for the most part, I don't know if it's going to be continued or not, what's going to happen, stuff like that. Notes, woo, chapter 1, up and done. I'm tired. I don't think that's chapter 1. I don't think this... Oh, here's the notes. I'm back. I just got promoted for my job. Wild right. Slight disclaimer. I'm American, not Japanese. Another disclaimer. Izuku is a little chubby. I already read this shit. Spree reference. You're incredible. Hats off to you. I did not get the reference, but no, yeah, this chapter hurt. This chapter hurt my soul. And I joked around in the other one that I would do a little funny hee hee ha ha, I'm gonna, finish it off, in the sense of like not actually writing finish it off, but in the sense of like I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna tell you my little headcanon and what happens next. Alright? But I don't know how to fix this. How do I... Like how Aizawa said, tell me how to fix this. I don't know how. And it hurts. On a lighter note, I'm gonna have this subscribed, and if the author posts another one, it will immediately subscribe. It will immediately it'll immediately ping me. It'll tell me that another one has been made, and that I'm set to go and I'm set to do stuff and stuff like that. So hopefully that comes up. Hopefully that, comes around and happens and stuff. So I'm gonna be interested in that. So as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.